All right, what is going on, everyone? It is the boys here from across the plane. My name is Will. This is your Week 8 Fantasy Football Preview Show. You can find me at MPLS_outdoors. Below me is our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and we also have a full-length Spotify podcast. That is also in the link in the description. Make sure to check that out if you want a podcast covering all sports. Above me here is my good host.
I'm Jake the rookie in the hoodie, and we're here to give you some Week 8 fantasy preview, Week 7 review,
Absolutely.
and chop it up on the fantasy football end.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you guys got a win last week. Hope you guys were able to start Tyler Lockett last week. I'm sure, man. I hope
Yeah.
it'd be a real bummer if you had Tyler Lockett and still managed to lose last week.
Yeah, I agree. I had Derrick Henry week 6 and still got the L, so it
Yes.
happens, but
Yep. You don't want to miss out on those 40 plus point games. That was
yeah.
incredible. That was an incredible game we had Monday night. We had it was a fun week of football again. Hope you got a win. Uh, But again, as always, we had some tough injuries. Odell Beckham was the big one, torn ACL. That was the big news of the week, out for the season.
Yeah.
Fantasy wise, I think it bumps up. I'll get to this in the waiver wise. I think it bumps up all the pass catchers stock. He wasn't doing too great, but again, that's more targets. But that's a bummer to see. Odell
Yeah,
going down for the season.
I hope you were able to trade him after his huge game against Dallas.
Yeah,
That's exactly if I had Odell, I would be
yeah.
shopping
If
him.
you actually went and saw that episode after his big game, we had him as our number one sell target actually. So next up was another sell target actually that we had after his big game, and that was Kenyon Drake. He went down. Looks like he'll miss. Coach said a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Mm,
so
Chase
that's
Edmonds,
very.
big.
He's big, and when he's started, he's been very productive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Last year.
he's even found production with Kenyon Drake on the field,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's a tough out for Kenyon Drake owners. Chris Godwin looks like he has a broken finger, gonna miss a week. Gonna bump up Mike Evans stock this week. Gonna bump up Gronk stock this week. Gronk's been playing well, but it's a bummer to see Chris Godwin. He's been having trouble staying on the field. He had a great game last week.
Yeah, he did. And if you own Mike Evans, I think this is a good week to play him. Um, if you're trying to predict the Mike Evans down weeks, the trend been so far when Chris Godwin plays, Mike Evans is less effective. So if
Yeah,
Chris Godwin's out, Mike Evans goes up.
yeah, and again, we'll see what happens when Antonio Brown takes the field. There's just so many targets on that offense.
Yeah. Antonio Brown got signed. Des Bryant also got signed
To the
to
practice squad,
Baltimore.
yeah.
Uh, so
Uh,
two guys we haven't seen in the league for a little bit.
yeah, Debo Samuels went down with an injury. Again,
Yep.
another player where it's just he's been having trouble staying on the field. Um, that's going to bump up Brandon Ayuk's stock.
Yeah, and they kind of play the same role. Like they San Francisco just finds ways to run the ball even by passing it. It just looks like a run anyway. So it's an offense where receivers like that are gonna be just give they're gonna get more touches because they're also utilized like running backs.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, next up, Devonta Freeman went down with an injury on the Giants. We saw Wayne Gallman get some more work. He's questionable heading into the week. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, hasn't been doing too great, but he's been getting more touches when he was healthy. He had that ankle injury, but he was working out on the field on Tuesday. So keep note of that. Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde went down. Tough out for Chris Carson owners. It looks like it's not that serious of an injury. I believe it was a foot injury. Um, Definitely keep an eye out on that. They have a tough matchup this week. Um, against San Francisco. He's going to be questionable heading in the matchup. I don't think he plays.
I don't know. I think that'll be an
Yeah,
interesting
it's a
matchup.
mid-foot sprain. They've ruled.
So third in line it would be DJ Dallas.
Yeah.
I think.
Keep an eye on that. I think
Oh.
Carlos Hyde, I think, does play this week. It
And
looks
even if neither of them play, I still am not favoring the matchup against the Niners.
no,
Been pretty
it's
tough
tough.
against the run.
Yeah. Jeff Wilson Jr. He had 3 touchdowns last week. Absolutely killed it last week, but then he went down with an injury.
Yeah, they said that he's going to be out for a couple weeks.
Yeah. So that's tough. They actually placed him on IR today. That could bump up Jermichael Hasty stock. We have him on the waiver column coming up. I not sure though. Tevin Coleman could be coming back off IR. That's a tough running back.
And we had Jerick McKinnon, who didn't do anything fantasy relevant last week. Actually, he contributed to negative points on your team, so he did worse than that.
Yeah.
It's tough. And then Jeff Wilson just did really good and got all the touches. So
yeah, 3
it's
touchdowns there, over 100 yards.
Yeah, really good game. And it's just we ranked Jerick McKinnon, didn't rank Jeff Wilson. Will's big on Jeff Wilson. He just had a questionable designation going in, and I think that's why he slipped.
Kyle Shanahan he just uses his running back so creatively, and he likes to switch it up and keep everyone on their toes. Last up in the injury column, Deontay Johnson. He had a great game, but he left the game with an ankle injury. Don't think it's serious, but he could miss some time again. Another player that's had some trouble staying on the field.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's get right into the waiver wire additions. I think the number one waiver pickup has got to be Chase Edmonds.
Yes, and he indeed was. He is.
I mean, he's in line to start. Kenyon Drake has a high ankle sprain, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's not able to see the field for like 3 weeks maybe. Keep an eye on that. Definitely a player that's going to be instant plug and play, RB2 value for the next couple weeks.
Yeah. I mean, you can't play him this week, but you know what? You got to jump on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a player that was worth adding going forward. And if Kenyon Drake's, honestly, I think he's going to be way better than Kenyon Drake when Kenyon Drake's not on the field because he's going to be involved. I mean, he's going to be involved in every down.
Yeah, I agree. Chase Edmonds performed well. I added him last year when Kenyon Drake was out, and or when before Kenyon Drake, I think it was right before Kenyon Drake came.
Yeah, and he's a good matchup week 9 against Miami. So definitely a defense you can expect him to score some points there week 9. Hope you got the jump on that. Next up, Gio Bernard. Again, Joe Mixon looks like he's going to miss another week.
Yeah, he does, and that is good for Gio Bernard in the rushing part of his points. He's still involved in the passing game even when Joe Mixon is a factor. They just like to use him as more of like a pass catching back. So he still has a little bit of value, but he is he could probably be a flex this week, I think, without Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
RB2.
I agree. They like to use him in the passing game. They use him creatively, and if you played him last week, you got a decent return on your investment there.
Yeah.
Next up, Carlos Hyde, and again, this is going to be a tough matchup. These next 2 running backs, I'm a little cautious on. If Chris Carson is out, I think Carlos Hyde in a deeper league could be a play just by volume, and he'll get goal line work. And he'll see he'll get some work out of the backfield passing, but other than that, it's a tough matchup against San Francisco. They're the second best team against fantasy running backs so far going into this game. So just temper expectations, though, if Chris Carson is out and Carlos Hyde is named the starter.
Agreed.
Let's see. And last running back we have is Jermichael Hasty, and I'm not too high on this player. we'll see. So I think if obviously Jeff Wilson's out, if Tevin Coleman doesn't play, I think he could be again a DFS play, a deep league flyer. He got like 9 carries last week, so keep an eye on it. We'll monitor the injuries going throughout the week.
Yeah. You just never know with that offense. He might be the guy who comes in and takes over. So monitor it.
Definitely. We'll get to a couple receivers quick. Uh, Sterling Shepard, he came back last week and he's had some nice games with this year. His 2 games where he's played the full game, which is only 2, week 1 and week 7, he's had at least 6 catches in both of those games.
Yeah, I think he's really safe floor.
He had 3
And
red zone targets last week.
during these bye weeks, I would like to have him as a backup receiver if you can go get him.
I think he's definitely worth an ad if he's still out there on your waiver wire.
Yeah.
Next up is Nelson Agholor, and you know what? He's a player that's, he's had a lot of negativity towards him, but he's been playing very well lately.
Yeah, I think part of the negativity is just like if you played him last year, it was probably after his good games, and you probably put up a stinker, and you dropped the ball on camera a lot, and so that's why people probably shied away from this year. But the man is so fast.
Yeah, he had 9 targets last week,
and he's burning corners.
Yeah, I mean Derek Carr's got a big arm. John Gruden loves throwing the deep ball. They take a lot of deep shots during games, and he's definitely a recipient of that. He had 100 yards, a touchdown, 5 catches last week. He was looking his way. He had 2 red zone targets last week, so not just the deep threat last week.
Double-digit PPR points in the last 3 weeks, so definitely worth a bench spot if you got somebody who's not performing.
Absolutely, and they're playing Cleveland this week, which has been the second worst defense against fantasy receivers. So I think he could be worth a play this week. Next up, Brandon Aiyuk, and we talked about Deebo Samuels earlier, and I think he has a really high ceiling this week.
Oh, I think I like Aiyuk as a flex this week. I think he gets over 10 touches for the first time, and we've seen him get in the end zone already. So I think he does it this week. I think he has a big game.
Yeah, and again, rankings will be coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out on that. So we will see.
I guess he had 11 touches against Giants week 3, but I'm expecting 15 touches against Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's they've been the worst team. They've been allowing the most points to the wide receiver position in fantasy, so I think you should play him. This is the week to do it.
Yeah, I think they're going to use him in the backfield too.
Yeah, he'll find himself as a top 30 play this week.
Yeah, I think he could be nice.
And last up is Rashard Higgins. Obviously, with Odell Beckham going down, it's going to bump everyone's stock up. I think Rashard Higgins, I don't know if I'd play him this week, but again, he could have some value going forward.
Yeah, he's had big games before. And he definitely has value going forward.
He had 6 catches, 110 yards. Had the game-winning touchdown. Again, it was obviously Baker Mayfield's best game of his career. But again, they were looking his way with Odell out. He had 6 targets, 6 catches, and he had the game-winning touchdown. So definitely a player worth adding going forward.
Agreed.
All right, let's get into some streamer plays this week. Streamer quarterbacks, number 1 this week is going to be Derek Carr. He's got a favorable matchup this week. And he's been playing pretty good football lately. I think you can expect, if you need a quarterback where you need 18 points, you can expect probably 18 to 23 points this week. I think he's been playing pretty consistently. We had Nelson Agholor earlier as a waiver wire ad. They've been throwing the deep ball, and I think this is a week where Raiders get a W, and again, you can expect probably like 20 points at around 20 points for Derek Carr.
Yeah, right now a lot of the streaming options are averaging around 17 to 19 points, and if the ones we put on here, we expect to outperform that threshold.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And again, Cleveland is a very favorable matchup.
yeah, absolutely. And Derek Carr's only thrown 2 interceptions this year, which has been his problem in the past, and 13 touchdowns. And Gruden's throwing the ball. You've seen him. He said, if you're gonna throw it, throw it.
Yeah,
They're airing it out.
absolutely. They're definitely airing it out, and they have Nelson Agholor and Henry Ruggs are two great deep targets that they have that really open up the field for them. And then they got Waller over the middle there. So that's just a really great offense for him in passing. I think it'll be, again, he'll definitely, you can expect over 18 points from him this week.
Yeah.
Next up, Teddy Bridgewater. He's playing Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta is the worst defense. They blew it against Detroit last week. Hats off to Detroit though, that was great. But
Yeah. It was
tough.
if you started Matt Stafford, we had Matt Stafford in our top 14, I believe, top 12 last week. He only had one touchdown. So
yeah,
but
it was what you predicted. I remember you telling me like everyone thinks that game's gonna be so high scoring, but it's gonna be like 17-20.
yeah, that was a really weird game. But again, I think Teddy B, you can again expect a couple of touchdowns, get you over that 18-point threshold.
Yeah.
All right, and last up for the streaming quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. I'm riding hot hand. Like, hopefully, he can take it into the next week. He completed his last. It was like 23. He was 22 for 28 last week. Good completion percentage for the first time ever. Maybe starting to get a hang of this Stefanski offense. Maybe Odell Beckham off the field. He doesn't even have to look his way. It takes off pressure because I feel like he kind of just feels pressured to throw to, or at least try to force it to Odell if he could. And I don't know. I think I liked the the game, but maybe it was just the Bengals last week.
But it's
But I
another
thought,
favorable matchup against the Raiders at home.
yeah, exactly. I think that is going to be a high scoring game, just like the Bengals Browns
Yeah,
was.
I agree. I think the Raiders are going to be able to score points, and that'll force Baker Mayfield to have to throw the ball. So I think again he's the third streaming option, but it's about for again like we were saying getting over that 18 points, and that's a start for me at quarterback. So I think he can be in that start threshold for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think he will get over 18.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we'll do 3 streaming defenses. Number 1 streaming defense, we're gonna have the Packers, and the Vikings are just not good. I mean, Kirk Cousins turns the ball over.
Yes, he does. And yeah, what more can we say?
Yeah.
Don't trust the Vikings.
It's if they're playing at home. I mean, we have a horrible offensive line. Horrible offensive line. Kirk Cousins been throwing a lot of interceptions, so I wouldn't be surprised if they score a touchdown that game.
Wow, I hope so. I'm playing them this week, so let's go back.
All right.
Just let's go Vikes.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the Eagles. Great matchup against Dallas. Andy Dalton has a chance of missing the game. Whether or not he plays, they're not scoring a lot of points. It's not looking good over there. Looks like they're starting to tank. They traded away Everson Griffin. They are trying to trade Dontari Poe. So, not looking good over there in D-Town.
No, it's not. They're rostered in 53% of leagues and probably going to be started in 53% of leagues. So,
yeah, if they're out there, I
good
think they're a very safe play this week.
Good matchup. Turnovers. Expect them.
Yep. All right. Next up is the Chargers.
Chargers also playing a turnover-prone team in Denver. Denver's thrown the most interceptions this year. I think you can count on, and I'm pretty sure they have just been giving up the most defensive touchdowns too. So there's touchdown upside as well.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Kansas City's defense did against them. Obviously, a little bit better of a team in the defense, but I think, again, you expect to see some turnovers in that game.
Yeah, Kansas City had that kick return too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was, again, if you had Kansas City's defense, that was great. I just played against Tyler Lockett and Kansas City's defense, so that's like 75 points right there.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the streaming section of this week. Now, this is the section that we always like to get to. These are going to be we talk about a couple players that we think you should trade for and a couple players that we think you should trade away. So as far as players to trade for, I think number one trade target for me, and again, every trade is situational, but Kareem Hunt has had two kind of inefficient games in the last 2 weeks. They've got the week 9 bye, and then Nick Chubb is set to return week 10. I'm not worried about that. Obviously, we've seen before they're both RB1s when on the field, but I think this might be the a low, his value might be kind of low, and I think you could get him and he might outperform than what you have to necessarily give up for him currently.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would definitely trade for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And if I have him, I'm definitely not.
And again, it's all situational. There's definitely a chance based on Kareem Hunt's ADP. There's a chance, and again, most likely somebody has an injury at running back because that's the way it's been. But there's definitely a chance that somebody has Kareem Hunt as their third running back, maybe even their fourth running back. If maybe they drafted
possible, yeah.
Maybe they drafted Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara or a Josh Jacobs, and then they drafted a David Johnson or a Todd Gurley.
Or they drafted a Nick Chubb, and right now they need Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, so, but again, like we say, it's all situational. There's definitely a chance that Kareem Hunt is somebody's third running back right now, and that you might be able to get him right now. And again, you're gonna have to give up pieces for him, but I think he still has great value.
Yeah, and if running back is, it's really hard to come by nowadays. Somebody as solid as Kareem Hunt. So, with all these injuries, try to trade for him if you can.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a great stretch run.
You're gonna have to give up somebody that's probably a starter on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think he's gonna outperform a lot of players. So,
I agree.
Next up, Terry McLaurin. A player you're gonna have to give up a player for him, but again, like we were saying about Kareem Hunt, we're high on him rest of the season, and there's definitely a chance that he's somebody's flex option right now. And he's definitely really high end WR2 with WR1 upside. Especially if you're in a PPR format.
I drafted Terry McLaurin in both my leagues this year, and as a wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 in the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely a chance that, again, he's out there as somebody's flex play. So he's very high upside. I think you can go out and get him. He had a good game last week, but again, I think players are just going to be kind of wary on him just because of the quarterback and he's on the football team. But he has such a high target share. And again, we're not talking standard scoring. Any PPR format, though, go out and grab Terry McLaurin if you can.
I agree. He's really solid. If you're gonna try to get him away from me, you better come with some. I mean, I think I'm smarter than the average guy, though.
Yeah, so I would say that you're higher on Terry McLaurin than. It's just one of those things where there's definitely could be an owner of Terry McLaurin where it's like, I don't like Kyle,
But yeah, like at this point, like I would trade
all
Terry
yeah,
McLaurin.
all of these players that we're saying, we're not saying you're not going to have to give up a lot for. We're just saying you might be able to get more than what you give up for.
Agreed.
So I think Terry McLaurin definitely. I mean, maybe if I'm higher than like if I had like a Robert Woods, I'd go see if somebody would trade Terry McLaurin for him.
Yeah, Devontae Parker.
Oh yeah, definitely. I doubt somebody would do that, but like I again like
Mike
a Robert
Evans.
Woods,
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'd go out and send some of those trades out.
Yeah. So
Last player we're going to talk about, and again, this is a player where these are all players you're going to have to give up a lot for. And that's Josh Jacobs, but we're really high on him rest of the season. He had a really, we think that's probably, we can both agree that's probably going to be his worst game of the season was against Las Vegas. And we told you guys, exercise extreme caution with Josh Jacobs. Only start him if you have to. I actually picked up Jamal Williams and played him over a sat Josh Jacobs. That turned out to be a great play. The lineman was out. Running backs really aren't scoring much against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been a great defense so far. So,
yeah, and if you can get like if you can get some just like a steal on him just because he put up the stinker against Tampa Bay, I think that would be extremely. You win any trade.
yeah,
Actually, I think Josh Jacobs could be a top 5 running back for the rest of the year. So
yeah,
we'll just have to see.
I agree with you. Let's see. Let's see. Rest of season.
He's got good matchups.
Maybe if I had like I don't know, if I had like a Ronald Jones, maybe I'd go out and see. If I had a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'd see. If I had like a Miles Sanders, I'd see.
Zeke.
We're gonna talk about Zeke, and I'm gonna go out and say, yeah.
James Conner.
I don't know about James Conner. They're gonna be really close.
Okay.
But again, I think his, maybe see if you could send out like a Todd Gurley combined with someone for Josh Jacobs.
Kareem Hunt or Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Rest of the season.
I agree.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's it. Again, like we said, all these players, you're gonna have to give up. Don't try and be reasonable, be fair. Expect that you're gonna have to give up a starting player, but remember that we're super high on these guys all rest of the season. We think we outperform where they're probably currently ranked right now. So go out and see if you can go and get those guys. Make a flyer. It's time to make some swing for the fences trades. We're going into week 8. Most trade deadlines standard is week 12, so keep an eye on that. Next up, we'll talk about players that we think you should try and trade away, and then I should probably put on the trading block. And we're going to talk about Zeke here. And it's tough. I understand he's your number 1 pick. Probably drafted him in the top 5, top 6. And I don't know. The Cowboys are in tank mode. Their defense is just they're selling defensive pieces. They're getting rid of all the veterans on their defense. Their defense is only going to get worse after historically bad defense. They're going to be relying to throw on games, which Zeke will still provide value. Don't get me wrong. But again, there's some guys that I'm higher on rest of the season than a Zeke.
Yeah, he out of the next 8 weeks, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8. The defense are top 10 against the running back.
Yeah, and
hard matchups that the Cowboys look like they're gonna tank, and it's just I can't get behind
a running back on a tanking team.
A running back on a tanking team. He gets 4 yards of carry. he's effective when he's utilized in the passing game. Other than that, it just looks like they're saving him from next year.
So
They don't want him to get decked.
yeah, so like James Conner, I'd much rather have a James Conner.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs, I'd probably rather have a Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
I'd probably would rather have Miles Sanders.
Jonathan Taylor. I'd rather have Jonathan
Matchup
Taylor.
wise, yeah, absolutely. Kareem Hunt, I'd much rather have Kareem Hunt rest of the season.
Yep.
I think Zeke rest of season, especially with all these tough matchups, is going to be find himself in like that 10 to 13 ranking running back, especially, when a Nick Chubb comes back, if we ever see Austin Eckler, I mean, McCaffrey's coming back, Nick Chubb's coming back. I'm going to have those guys ranked higher than Zeke week to week.
I think Zeke's going to finish out probably outside the top 12 as
rest
RB2.
of season, yeah, he's probably going to finish outside top 12 and even total full season, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I think I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in your league would accept a James Conner or a Kareem Hunt for a Zeke. Just it's such a big name value, but again, he's not helping you win, and I don't know how much he's going to help you win rest of season, especially, I mean, do we really think Ezekiel Elliott's going to be getting a full workload in week 16?
I would hope so, but like the evidence doesn't show.
Yeah, I mean, they're just totally tanking, so yeah, Ezekiel Elliott. Next up, DJ Moore, and this is one of those things where the wide receiver position is deep. I think he starts to pick it back up. Looks like he's starting to build that rapport with Teddy Bridgewater. But again, if you can go out and get a running back for DJ Moore, I'd say, I mean, go out and do it if you can. If you can get a nice RB2 for a DJ Moore, like a solid. I mean, how would you rather have DeAndre Swift or DJ Moore rest of the season?
Well, DeAndre Swift just because of running back.
Yeah, exactly. And and somebody might have picked up DeAndre Swift off the waivers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And again, every trade is situational. Be fair, but like, I doubt you could get a Todd Gurley. But like, if you could package something for like a Todd Gurley or something, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little stretch. You'd probably have to give up somebody.
But
I don't know.
I think
Todd
a DeAndre
Gurley,
Swift would be reasonable.
DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore for Todd Gurley. Yeah, that's reasonable, I guess.
Yeah, if I needed a receiver, I would definitely think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, DJ Moore. Again, I think he starts to pick it up going forward, but
right now he's 13th.
Yeah.
So that's all WR2 in a 12-man league.
Mm-hmm.
He's got good matchups. He plays Atlanta, Detroit, Minnesota. So he's good. I think he's got some big games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Zeke and DJ Moore definitely are going to provide great value going forward. It's just you might be able to get a little more for him.
Yeah, he's gonna have. He also has to play Kansas City and Tampa Bay and Washington, which are very hard matchups, and he still has to buy ahead. So if you somebody to trade away, situational. I think he has good value right now. You can get good value for him.
All right, just looking at the matchups, would you rather have DJ Moore or Travis Fulgham going forward? I mean,
I like Travis Fulgham.
Yeah, he has such good matchups, man. He plays Seattle, he plays Cleveland, he still plays Dallas twice, he plays the Giants, he plays Arizona.
Yeah,
he has some great matchups going forward.
I think, like, as far as I've seen from Eagles games, it looks like Carson Wentz is really looking for him. So I think that continues for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Next up, Deontay Johnson. And again, this is a player he had a great game last week. And when healthy, he's, double-digit targets. Ben's looking his way. But again, it's tough because he just can't stay on the field.
Yeah, it's gonna be crucial coming up, staying on the field. So fantasy first half fantasy season is over and through, and we're heading on to the second half. And Deontay Johnson has had enough upside where I think he has good value.
Mm-hmm.
How many more games do we see him? How many more snaps does he play?
Exactly. He's one of those players like you're worried like if I throw him out there, is he only going to play half the game? Is he only going to play 50% of the snaps? 60%
Is he
of
only going to
snaps.
play the first quarter?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think you could definitely get some good value for him, but he
I
has
agree.
upside. It's just
Especially
again, every trade is situational.
his good games have been really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for our Week 8 preview. Tomorrow we're gonna do our ranking show. We'll have all our rankings, so you can combine this knowledge with the rankings tomorrow to get a better picture about what to do. We have Thursday night football. We have Carolina and Atlanta. Looks like Christian McCaffrey might not play. They activate him. Looks like they're gonna activate him off IR, but they're still gonna wait a week. I'm happy looks like I might get another week of Mike Davis, baby.
Yeah, well, yeah, Mike Davis, we'll see him for another week on Thursday. And,
You will also see us on Thursday with the ranking show.
You'll see us before the game with the ranking show.
Yes, absolutely. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get a notification when we do go live. As always, check out our Spotify podcast and give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter. And we will see you tomorrow.